introduction.
Dear students, I'm Alex Cassis, an instructor of OPR 121, which is an introduction to critical thinking and argumentation. I welcome you again to this course, and today we are going to be together on knowledge area 2, which is some basics of arguments. This means you are going to see different terminologies and the issues related to critical thinking and argumentation. So in this knowledge area 2, we start with the meaning of the word argument, which is the key word in the course OPR 121. It is called critical thinking and argumentation. So some of the key words, one is argument. And the argument is an attempt to convince someone, possibly you can be yourself, that a particular claim called a conclusion is true. So you are trying to make an argument, convincing him to agree. This means you want to move a person from where he is to a place where you want him to be. This means you want to make sure that he can be related with what you know. You bring him into your knowledge and the understanding. You want to share with him some knowledge you have. But it is not easy to do so if you don't convince him through an argument. So an argument is an attempt to convince a person. You want to make a conclusion whereby others will rely and go into that particular conclusion. The rest of the argument, these are collections of claims called the premises. And these are given as the reasons for believing the conclusion. So, arguments do not stand as arguments, but they have premises and the conclusions. And later on we are going to see the meaning of premises, the meaning of conclusions, even the reasons. The conclusion is sometimes called the issue that is being debated. So we have premises which are acceptable and relevant, and then we have conclusion. Let us start with premises. A premise is a statement in an argument that provides reason or support for the conclusion. There can be one or many premises in a single argument. So when you have argument, you can be in a position to see what is a premise. You can find that in one argument, you can find there are different premises. So a premise is a statement in an argument. And this can provide reason or reasons to support the conclusion. So the issue here is that you are delivering your ideas, you are moving your ideas into a conclusion. So your concern here is a conclusion, but you not go direct to the conclusion. You start with premises, and these premises are the ones which can give you the conclusion. And as I've said, there are many premises. There might be many premises in a single argument. There are dependent premises and the independent premises. Dependent premises need at least one other premise to provide support for a conclusion. Independent premises provide some support for an argument's conclusion, whether or not any other premises are present, given reasonable assumptions. Now, we can see these two, independent premises and dependent premises. Now, as you see here, you can find that on the part of independent premises, the premise stays on its own. But on the part of dependent premises, more than one premise must be true for the premises to support the conclusion. But here, on independent premises, the premise itself supports the conclusion. The premise which is given, the premise which is provided, can easily support the conclusion. Even if the other premise is false, it still supports the conclusion. Here are some examples of independent premises and one example of dependent premises. Smoking costs too much. Now, this is independent. And then smoking gives you heart disease. These are in some of the examples of independent premises. And then on the side of dependent premises, you can have example. All cats have dander. So that's one of the ideas related to dependent and independent premises. Now, premises may be indicated by a lead or phrases. When we say a lead, it means a word which can show you that now you are dealing with premises. When we say phrases, this means not a single word, but more than one word. For example, words like since, for, because, in, as much as, those are phrases support that, it follows from, for the reason that, in the view of, this is implied by, given that, it follows from, due to. So in order to make premises, then you should follow these lead words or phrases in order to ensure that what you are giving is really a premise. And then we continue to see more ideas about premises. A premise may be stated or unstated. This means you can provide a premise and then you state it. May be dependent or independent, as we have seen previously. May be indicated by a lead, word or phrases, and it may need support or explanation. It can be a conclusion. It can be stated or unstated, and the conclusion may be controversial. We see more about conclusion. For example, Moore's productions frequently contain religious themes and symbolism, and her work has been the topic of serious study by respected scholars of religion. So those two are premises, and they are there to help you have a conclusion. So from those two ideas, then we have so. So when you see this word so, obviously you should know that you are going to have a conclusion. So Moore's work, even his highest sexual material, must be protected as religious expression by the First Amendment. So this, the example of showing that you can state the conclusion, and you state the conclusion from the given premises, and then you can see what you are concluding. So the conclusion is a statement in an argument that indicates of what the arguer is trying to convince. The reader or listener must have a statement in an argument. What is the argument trying to prove? There can be only one conclusion, in a single argument. We do not expect different conclusions. Even if we have many statements, even if we have many premises in a single argument, still we expect to have one single conclusion in a single argument. Even if we have many and different premises in a single argument. Why? It is because we have premises in order to make conclusions. So the ideas of premises are there in order to help you to have a conclusion. This means you want to reach somewhere. The premises are there like the way, showing you where you are going. So you not stay on the way. You should reach somewhere where you are going. So you should know where you are going. And therefore from that place where you are going, then you get the ways. So premises are like the ways. So in order to have a conclusion, first of all, you should have premises. And the way you have premises, we expect you from those premises to have a single conclusion. We would not expect different conclusions in one argument. Conclusions may be stated once, stated may be controversial, and they also may be indicated by lead words, as we have already mentioned. Then, more about arguments. We have this terminology, valid arguments and invalid arguments. Valid arguments. Arguments is valid if it is impossible for the premises to be true and the conclusion false at the same time. If it is not, then it is invalid. So in order an argument to be valid, then the premises must be true and the conclusion must be true. If it is not the case, then the argument is invalid. Strong and the weak arguments. Invalid arguments are classified on a scale from strong to weak. An argument is strong if it is very unlikely for the premises to be true and the conclusion false at the same time. An argument is weak if it is likely for the premises to be true and the conclusion false. Then we shall see some examples later. The premises are plausible. This can be stated, can convince. The premises are more plausible than the conclusion. The argument is valid or strong. That's why you can want to test the argument to be good. Then you should check whether the premises are plausible. To be plausible, it means it can be stated, it can convince, it is reasonable. The premises are more plausible than the conclusion. This means in order to reach a conclusion, you should have convincing premises. You should have stated premises which are good. And that's why sometimes people even can see the conclusion even before you state it. Once you say a premise, the first premise and then the second premise, maybe the major premise and the minor premise, sometimes even people can evaluate and see the conclusion even before you state it. The argument should be valid or strong. That's where you can test that this argument is good. And then we go to the idea of this terminology, claim. What are the claims in the argument? For example, if we say Rebecca is an economics professor, all economics professors are socialists, so Rebecca is a socialist. Now, is this a valid argument? We find that there is a claim. We claim that Rebecca is an economics professor. And then again we continue to say is a socialist. Now, is this a valid argument? You can check whether it is valid or not, and then we can discuss. Analysis. This is a valid argument. It is impossible for the premises to be true and the conclusion to be false. So when you make premises, try to be careful. Because when you make a premise, the first premise to be true, and the second one is true, but the conclusion is false, then you are trying to mislead people. In the analysis, you want to see whether the premises are true and the conclusion are true. Is it a good argument if the premises are true and the conclusion are false? No. If the second premise is false, obviously you are likely to have a false conclusion. Deductive and inductive arguments, which is also discussed in the other knowledge area. One way of conceptualizing arguments is by the degree of confidence one is supposed to have in the conclusion if the premises are true. And here, you want to see few ideas concerning deductive and inductive arguments. Deductive arguments are constructed with the intention of supporting their conclusions perfectly. That is with the premises that, if true, guarantee the truth of the conclusion. And on the side of inductive arguments, these are constructed with the intention of providing the strongest possible support for the conclusion, even though they are able to guarantee the truth of the conclusion. So those are some of the differences between inductive and deductive argument. And then we go to explanations. Why is this claim true? An inferential explanation is a collection of claims that can be understood as something happened, let's say because of A and the B and the C. But we can also give some concrete ideas related to this. For example, we call A, B, and the C the explanation. This means something happened in the claim being explained. Because when we say A, B, and the C, those are trying to explain about the claim which are provided. And then now, when is an explanation good? An explanation is good when the claim is highly acceptable. So if the claim is not acceptable, then the explanation is not good. The explanation is good when the explanation addresses the correct claim. The explanation is good when the explanation is reasonable. Because sometimes we can provide some explanations which are not reasonable. The explanation is good when the explanation is valid and strong. The explanation is good when the explanation is not secular. So those are some of the ideas which can help you to see whether your explanation which you are trying to say is good or not. Now, having seen all those, we can say that some important terminologies, some important issues in critical thinking and argumentations, when you know them, those basics, the idea of arguments, the idea of premises, the ideas of claims, the ideas of conclusion, then these can help you to understand critical thinking and the argumentation. Thank you for your attention. I hope you will understand more when we go for further knowledge areas 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.